For the first time ever, all of us at home got to see the cast and crew of The Conners put on a live performance for the ABC network. But could you really tell that they were live? Hello everyone, my name is Rachel and I review everything. Today I wanted to take a few minutes to chat with you guys about the live episode of The Conners that took place on ABC this past Tuesday. So clearly I intended to have this video up almost immediately after this episode premiered, but I didn't get it done until now, so it's been more like 2, almost 3 weeks I think. So just thought I'd clear that up a bit. I'll be honest, I've really been digging these live performances that ABC has been putting together as of late. They've done episodes of All in the Family, The Jeffersons, and Good Times, all of which I thought were very enjoyable. But when I heard that ABC had been planning for The Conners, a show that's on currently to go live, I was all for it. I had literally been counting down the days till this premiere, so I am very excited to give you my thoughts on it today. Of course, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I would very much appreciate it if you would do so. And don't forget to hit that little bell icon, as that will keep you notified of when I upload new videos. Now with all of that being said, let's talk about this live episode of The Conners. So this episode of The Conners, appropriately titled Live from Lanford, was a very politically driven episode as it aired during the New Hampshire primary. And the thing that made this really special was the fact that they would mention a few results from the primary in the episode, such as Andrew Zhang dropping out for one example. Not to mention the fact that the cast and crew put on not one but 2 live performances. One for those on the East Coast like me, and one put on for the West Coast. And the coolest thing about that was that they apparently altered a few lines in order to fit what was happening at the time of each performance, which is crazy impressive. But this episode was also focused on Dan and his love interest Louise. Louise breaks up with Dan after she gets the opportunity to go on tour with her band for the next 3 months, because Dan is afraid to commit to their kind of sort of relationship, which leads to the family becoming involved to try and help Dan convince her to stay. I definitely have thoughts on both of those storylines, but we'll get more into those a little later. The first thing I want to talk about is the live performance itself. Now, I've watched this episode 2 times through after it premiered to see if I could notice any mistakes, or to see if someone noticeably had to improvise their lines. And while I can't say for sure because I obviously don't have a copy of their script in my hand, it seemed like each and every one of them nailed this performance. Now, that's not to say that they didn't make any mistakes, but they most definitely didn't make any mistakes that the audience would have been able to pick up on. So either they were able to act out their script to perfection, or they were able to flawlessly improvise their lines. Either way, very impressive. The entire cast of The Conners were truly incredible in this episode. And I also got a response from Michael Fishman on Instagram, who plays DJ, which made me pretty happy because he's my favorite character on the show, and he's also very handsome. But anyway, I also did really like that the overall message in this particular episode was to encourage people to vote. And while the New Hampshire primary was about the Democratic candidates, what I got from this episode was that it's just important to vote in general, no matter what political party you may be for. I think they really wanted their characters as well as their audience to know that their vote is important. Now, this is where my only real issue with the episode starts. I'm truly hoping that this really will be the end of Dan and Louise, because I'm not such a fan of the fact that they rushed Dan into having a love interest so incredibly fast. Being a fan of Roseanne, Dan kind of represents those of us who are still upset about losing Roseanne Barr in this show. I've said this before in my review of The Conners Season 1, I don't condone what Roseanne Barr has done in the past. However, I do really admire the work that she's done with the show Roseanne, and I really miss the character of Roseanne Connor. So pushing Dan into a new relationship was kind of like pushing us into moving on from Roseanne, a character that is very near and dear to a lot of our hearts. And the last criticism that I have isn't actually about the Conners at all, it's more so about ABC. The one thing that I was pretty disappointed in was the fact that for the show being live, it was pretty underwhelming. They made a really big deal about their past live performances, but they didn't go all out for the Conners. It would have been been nice to have a host, someone who could have given us a little bit more of a behind-the-scenes look. But we didn't get any of that, so it was kind of hard to tell throughout the episode that it actually was live because of how great the performances were. So I just wish the network would have gone all out, making this episode seem to be as big of a deal as it actually was. So, did any of you guys watch this live episode of The Conners? If so, be sure to let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, you can follow me over on Twitter at @RR_everything, where I talk about all kinds of shows and movies and also post updates on future videos. But until then, I'm Rachel, and that was my review of The Conners live from Lanford.